Picture chess players so thrilled by one move, they literally throw gold coins onto the board. That actually happened, and here's the move that did it. Breslau, 1912. Stefan Levitsky pushes a pawn to the center, square d4, against the most reckless attacker alive. Bad idea, buddy. Across the board sits Frank Marshall, the American daredevil. He nudges a pawn to e6, calm as a man who's already planning fireworks. Levitsky grabs more center with a pawn to e4. Confident stuff. He has no clue what's coming for his weekend. Marshall answers pawn to d5, staking his own claim. Two armies, one tiny square, zero willingness to back down. Out comes a white knight to c3. Looks fine. Spoiler. Half of Levitsky's moves today will look fine and quietly be wrong. Marshall jabs a pawn to c5, poking at the center like he's daring white to flinch. Tension already simmering. Another white knight develops, this one to f3. Textbook. Sadly, textbooks don't warn you about a man itching to sacrifice his queen. Black's knight hops to c6, eyeing the middle. Both sides are loading the board like it's about to go off. Levitsky's pawn snaps off Black's pawn on d5. First blood, technically. Don't get attached to that lead. Marshall recaptures instantly with a pawn, restoring balance. The center's a mess of locked pawns and bad intentions. Here's a quiet slip. White's bishop tucks back to e2 instead of doing something useful. Marshall must have smiled a little. Black's knight leaps to f6, joining the party. Every Marshall piece seems to be drifting toward the white king. Levitsky castles his king safely into the corner, rook swinging out. Nice and cozy. Famous last words, that corner. Marshall slides his bishop to e7, prepping his own king's getaway. Patient. Dangerously, suspiciously patient. White's other bishop pins out to g5, pestering the knight. Annoying for Black, but honestly just stirring the pot. Now Marshall castles too, king to safety. Both monarchs tucked away. The grown-ups are seated, let the chaos begin. Levitsky's pawn gobbles another on c5, snagging material. He's collecting pawns like souvenirs he won't get to keep. Marshall develops his last bishop to e6, every piece now humming. This is what a loaded spring looks like. White's knight jumps into d4, looking aggressive. It's the kind of brave that ages very, very badly. Marshall's bishop scoops up the pawn on c5, regaining material with a grin. The American's getting comfortable. 0-0 for White. Levitsky's knight grabs the bishop on e6. Trade, everyone swapping. The board's clearing for something big. Marshall takes back with a pawn to e6, cracking open his own king's cover. Risky? With this guy, that's a feature, not a bug. White's bishop swings to g4, hunting weaknesses. Levitsky keeps poking. Marshall keeps loading the cannon. Outstrides the black queen to d6, sliding toward the action. You can feel her sizing up that white king. Levitsky retreats his bishop to h3. Tidy little move. The trap's already half built, and he doesn't smell it. Marshall lifts a rook to e8, stacking force down the open lane. Every piece pointing one direction, straight at White. White's queen shuffles to d2, trying to organize the defense. Bless him, organizing chairs on a sinking ship. Black's bishop swings to b4, leaning on the white queen. Marshall's tightening the screws, move by patient move. Levitsky's bishop snatches the knight on f6. A trade to relieve the pressure, he hopes. He hopes a lot, this guy. Marshall recaptures with his rook on f6. That rook now glaring at the white king's side. The vice is closing. White's rook slides to d1 for backup. Reasonable. Also roughly as helpful as an umbrella in a hurricane. Marshall's queen glides to c5, lining up with menace. Pieces everywhere, all pointed at one nervous king. Feel that yet? Levitsky's queen sidesteps to e2. He's dodging, shuffling, surviving move to move. Survival's about to get a lot harder. Black's bishop captures the knight on c3, smashing into White's shelter. Marshall is peeling the king's house apart, brick by brick. Levitsky takes back with a pawn on c3. His position's wobbling, his pawns are scattered, his afternoon is ruined. Marshall's queen swoops down and grabs that pawn on c3. Deep in White's camp now, and absolutely not leaving. Desperate, White's rook crashes onto d5, snatching a pawn and counterattacking. Levitsky's swinging back. Too little, too late, friend. Marshall plants a knight on d4, dead center, daring white to do something. The trap is basically fully assembled now. Levitsky throws his queen to h5, going for his own attack. Brave. And here's where everything quietly tips toward disaster for him. Marshall calmly drops a rook to f8, reinforcing. No panique. The man knows the knockout is already loaded. White's rook lurches to e5, looking busy. Busy isn't the same as good. Levitsky's about to learn that the hard way. Marshall lifts his rook to h6, sneaking it toward the white king's neighborhood. Watch this rook. Watch all of it, really. Levitsky's queen scoots to g5, still dreaming of his own attack. He genuinely thinks he's the one winning. Adorable. Marshall's rook gobbles the bishop on h3. White's down material, down hope, and seconds away from down for good. White's rook charges to c5, attacking the black queen, certain it's trapped. Levitsky thinks he's caught the queen. He's caught nothing. Then Marshall does it. He drops his queen onto g3, square guarded by 3 white pawns just sitting there. Taken away, White's dead. Spectators went wild. Gold coins rained on the board. And that's how a queen's sacrifice becomes legend.